Hello, YouTube.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly and Audrey here. And it has been a few months since I did an update, so I thought I would just hop on and just talk to you guys a little bit about my transition from male to female. And I think my last one was at 9 months, and now we're going on 13 months on HRT. And so everybody after a year usually goes and says, well, this is all the physical changes that have happened to me. And I thought we would do this a little bit different. We would do a question and answer. And I wrote down 6 questions. Um, and if you guys have any more, shoot them in the comments below. And we'll see if we can answer them together as a couple.
Yeah.
A lot of transgender people who are transitioning, especially older, like at my age, I'm 48, and I transitioned at 47. And if they're married or with kids, what ends up happening is a lot of times their spouse just can't handle the change, or they change so dramatically that uh, the relationship breaks up. And just my opinion, but I think the thing is that I know from my own experience, you hide yourself so much for all of your life that you're just screaming to come out for the real person that you are. And that can sometimes throw havoc into the relationship. I know Audrey's probably seen a few mannerisms that have changed in me over the last year as I've been a little bit more free to be myself. So, without further ado, should we get into some questions?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Um, Number one, was this the right choice for you? And was it the right choice for your relationship? Ooh. Definitely for me, it was the right choice. And for our relationship, I would like to say yes. What do you think?
Yes and yes.
And like how has this affected our relationship? Made it better? Made it worse? Just the same?
I think in a lot of ways it's made our relationship better.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're closer, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's drawn us closer.
Mm-hmm.
And um, because you're able to be more authentically yourself, and you're able to work through so many of those frustrations and struggles that you had before when you were a man.
Yeah, I would totally agree. If anything, our relationship has grown and flourished stronger than it ever has before. We've been married for 16 years, 16 and a half now. And we've always been lovey-dovey. We've always been open with each other. We've always held hands in public, kissed in public, and shown affection for each other. I mean, this me being transgender actually did not come as a huge shock or huge surprise to us. I was asking Audrey a few days ago, like, when was the first time I said to her, "I've always felt like a woman," and we can't remember how many years into our relationship that I started talking like that. But when we watched a documentary a year ago on transgender uh, celebrities, it really hit home to just say that, oh my, this is who I actually authentically am.
Mm-hmm.
And to take that step, I mean, I put it into um, Audrey's decision whether or not I should transition. So I constantly pull the dipstick and say, "You're still good with this? You still good with this?"
Well, you asked me what I thought,
Yeah.
and I said, but the question really is what would make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
And you said
Well, if I had been born in the right body to begin with.
that would make you happy.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, then if transitioning would make you happy, that would make me happy
Mm-hmm.
because I love you for who you are.
Yeah.
And so becoming more of who you are would only make me happier. And so we decided to pursue
Mm-hmm.
what transitioning might mean.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a decision to jump in, but it was a decision to pursue and start asking some questions.
Yeah.
And see if we could find some answers, because maybe this wasn't the right thing. Maybe transitioning wasn't for you. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we were, barking up the wrong tree per se,
And
and so we discovered, that it was the right thing, that we were right on the money, so to speak.
yeah, and and the funny thing is that I said to you at the time, I said, "Gosh, I've lived 47 years as a man. I mean, what's another
Yeah.
45, 50
I
years
mean,
more? I mean, I could do it."
yeah,
And you asked me, "But would that make you happy?"
exactly.
And gosh, honestly, now that I've transitioned, I could never go back.
No.
Um, there's no way, absolutely no way I could go back.
Because up to that point, there was something inside of you that was so deeply sad
Hmm.
that we couldn't put our fingers on.
Yeah.
We couldn't figure out what it was. And if this was going to be that thing, then if this was what you needed, then I was here for you.
Yeah.
And I love it.
All right. Next question. Do you think differently now that you are in a female body? Hmm. Short answer? Yes, I think differently. Long answer? I don't think there's enough time in this in this video. Um, Big things that I see. One of my favorite things moving out to an acreage here was especially if I was frustrated before, was I would hop on the tractor and I would do yard work. I'd do landscaping around the yard here, moving rocks, moving dirt, leveling things off, railing the driveway, spreading gravel, anything like that. That was just my happy place to ride around on the tractor.
For hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, sometimes after
You would
dark
even go
before
over
I
to the
come in.
neighbors to do their work for hours because it was just your happy place.
Yeah, and it was my way that I handled stress a lot of times. And now, do you remember? Oh, I guess once this summer, I was on the tractor.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to convince myself that I have to get back on there because there's a bunch of yard work that needs to be done before winter hits. And I just, every time I walk up to the tractor and I look at it, it's like, I just don't want to ride around on there because I get a sore back, you're bouncing around, it's loud, it's noisy, you're smelling diesel. And worst of all, I mean, I'm going to damage my fingers, my fingernails, and get dirt all dirty. Yeah. And it's not who I am anymore. And it's not where I find importance. I mean, that's one major thing.
Yeah.
Other things, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I've said, I'm sorry to you this year because before I was so analytical thinking and so matter of fact. And it was like full of testosterone. And it's like, here's a problem, there's a solution. So just do it. And if it's requires work, you just sit down and you just fight your way through it until you have it done. And now, I mean, I look at everything from such a more nurturing and compassionate side. Yeah, more emotional and less matter of fact. And I guess one of the things, like, I was hammering something because I mean we're still building on the acreage, and regardless of whether I'm in a different body or not, I mean it still needs to be done. And one of the things that I discovered was that I hit my finger, and it hurt like a dam. And normally, what that would do to me is I would just hunker down and get angry, and I would just keep working harder until I got it done. And this time round, when that happened, I mean, I sat down, and tears welled up in my eyes. And at that point, I was done for the day. I didn't want to do anything else. I mean, that was it. And that's such a different response than what you're used to or I'm used to for my entire life.
Yeah.
So major differences. Definitely with loads of estrogen and no testosterone. um, I definitely think differently than I did before. And I love it. I mean, I feel so comfortable in my own skin. It's just, man, if I could have done this 20 years ago. But yeah, our lives would look very different.
Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets. No. Okay, number 3. How has society and family accepted the changes? Well, what about friends?
Well, in other videos we've already talked about friends, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so friends in general, I mean, awesome. There have been the odd person that's kind of dropped out of our lives, politely, and
Not dramatically.
No.
Nothing dramatic.
no, overall speaking, very well accepted, very well accepted, and no issues whatsoever with pronouns. People just, when they spend 5 minutes with me after I told them that I was transitioning, they just, at first they were kind of freaked out a little bit, and then it was just, oh, this is the same old Kelly.
Yeah.
So, just with prettier clothes. Family. What do you think of family? How would you rate changes with family or acceptance?
Acceptance. I think that on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being like 100% acceptance, I think it's a moving scale. That they're definitely like at a 4 or 5, and they're moving their way up. Like,
Yeah,
that they're working at it. Like, it's slow going because they have these memories and the concept of you being their family member of being male.
Yeah.
Is still in their mind and in their memory and in their thoughts, and so it's an adjustment for them, but they're working at it, and
Yeah.
it's a very positive thing, I think.
yeah. Couple of stories. So, something that just completely blessed my heart was this last week we saw Audrey's mom, and she commented, said, "Oh, what a pretty dress." And I think that was the first time or second time she had seen me in a dress.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful because, I mean, she has her own struggles with her daughter, being seen as a lesbian, and for her son-in-law to suddenly, after 16 years, start showing up in dresses. But
Being a woman.
I mean, she's handling it incredibly. And as far as my family, my mom and dad, they struggle with it. My mom probably accepts it a lot more than my dad does. I doubt my dad ever will. I mean, he's 83 going on 84, and I don't think he just gets it at all. But he's been very silent about it and very quiet and doesn't say anything. And mom, I think alone, she's perfectly fine with it. Around other people, she comes across as being very embarrassed. It's interesting to take them out for lunch or supper or be in public with them because
it's hard for them. It's hard.
She's constantly darting around looking to see if other people are looking or paying attention. And also, I noted that the last time that we had been out to their place, I think it was about 6 months ago, and someone from the community was there, and she kind of hurriedly scurried us through the back door and down the hall, like I was an embarrassment. And that was really hard to take. And the realization that a half a year after I had come out as transgender, she still hadn't told anybody in the community. And I mean, we're on social media, and so all the extended family members know. And I mean, I'm still friends with people back in the community where they live. So I mean, I don't think it's a secret, but they just don't like talking about it. And we just went to a family wedding here a few weeks back, and that was awesome and fun. And I got to dress up. We actually, both of us went in gowns and dresses.
Cocktail dresses.
Yeah, and got to dance with my sweetheart. She was in her wheelchair and on the dance floor. But that was awesome because it's been years since we've been out dancing together.
Yeah. It's fun.
And OMG, I'm in love with dresses. I don't know how I'm going to wear them when minus 30 hits in Saskatchewan, but I'm in love with dresses. That and Lululemons and leggings. Man, yeah, I love them all. They're so comfortable. Anyhow, getting back on track, my brother and my two sisters, all of them kind of were shocked to see me in a dress. That was the first time, and they took it in stride. And one of the things that just absolutely blessed us was my sister from Chicago. When everybody was gathering around the day after the wedding and taking family photos, um, we had one all as siblings, as kids, and then she said, "Okay, just one with the sisters," and she wanted to get a shot of the three of us, and that was just over the top for me.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
So, yeah. Um, and where are we at
It's number
now?
4.
4. What has been the hardest change about transitioning? Hmm. I think that's kind of a loaded question because the thing is that when I transition, one of the things that we had talked about and I had said was that even if we had to up and move from the community, if the community didn't accept us, if our families didn't accept us, if we had issues in any kind, um, damn the torpedoes, this was more important. That that's how much dysphoria I had, was that I could not, after I knew and we made the decision to transition, the thought of being in a man's body any longer in my life was much more painful than anything society could throw at us. And I think that's just a testament of what transgender people go through. I mean, I struggled my entire life, and the changes that have happened this past year are nothing compared to the struggles that I've had my entire life trying to hide the fact of who I was. So, yeah, so the hardest part of transitioning, because it's been such a good change, the hardest part I would have to say would be losing the ability that I had before in a man's body. And it's funny because I say to Audrey and I say to women friends all the time of like, I'm probably weaker than the average woman. Have like my testosterone levels are like 0.28, I think, and most women's can be up as high as 4 or 5. And so, I mean, I've got like zero testosterone. I've lost so much muscle mass. I've lost 4 inches of muscle across my chest area. And and before I used to be able to lift 100, 125 pounds, no problem. And without breaking a sweat. And now, I mean, 20 to 30 pounds is kind of where I max out. If I try to lift anything heavier than that, I mean, I'm hurting myself and I'm down for the count for the next day. And so that would be the hardest part, was the realization of like, for cis women, they go through their entire life and the muscle that they have is the muscle that they have. And they might gain some and they might lose some, but you never know what the other side is like in a male body. And I've been blessed enough to live so many years in a male body and to work very hard um, physically in that body, and now to transition and see the other side of the coin. It's you realize very quickly that physiologically speaking, there is a huge difference between the two frames of a male and a female. So not being able to do things the same way has been a major change for me. So
So I have a question for you
Yeah.
then. In light of that answer, if you could have known that that would be like one of the biggest hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have changed, or could you have changed anything?
Nothing.
Like your work, could you have changed your work? Could you have prepared a year ahead of time, or could you have done something different to make it easier? Because like we live on an acreage, and you're building a house, and you're the only one who could do all of this work.
Yeah, one of the things
Like
I'm not looking
that's
forward to. Yeah, thank God we've got two grown young men. Um, our boys are 15 and 18 now, so I am taking them out to chop wood this winter because I can't. There's just physically I'm incapable of doing it any longer. But we still need to heat our house, and so one of the things that we did was we changed our furnace out here. We're going to be running a lot more propane than we did before. We used to live almost primarily on chopped wood, but with my body being where it's at, that's not a reality anymore. Um, so, I mean, if we had known this, we probably would not have moved to the acreage.
yeah.
Because acreage life is much, much tougher than living in the city. You're very much left on your own for all the services. And I mean, I plumbed our own house, I electrified our own house, we generate all of our power off grid here. Um, we built this house with our bare hands.
Yeah.
And we still have a second house that we're working on right now. And God help us how we're going to finish that. But yeah, I think contractors are going to be coming in for some of that. Um, but yeah, like that would be the biggest thing is I think we just simply would not have chosen this
Yeah.
acreage life
Yeah, exactly.
if we had known then. Yeah. Yeah, does that answer that?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Legally, are you seen as a woman? Yes. Yeah. Short answer, yes. Long answer.
Yes,
Yes. So, government forms, federal government. I think I've changed those ones. If not, when we file taxes this year, that will be changed. And what else? Banking is all changed.
Health card?
Health card, driver's license, gun registry, of all
That's
things.
an interesting one.
Yeah, technically legal. I'm not supposed to carry a gun any longer because I'm not registered. So about a month ago, I sent that change in. I'm waiting for it to come back. And passport is still needs to be done. Next time that we renew it, we will. But yeah, all of my legal documents are changed. And the coolest thing ever was here in Saskatchewan, they have a screening test for ovarian cancer. So all women are asked to voluntarily come in and get a pap test to check for cervical cancer. And it's just a screening program that they've had in place for probably the last decade. And about a week after my new health card arrived, I ended up getting a letter in the mail saying, please come in for your pap test. And I thought, boy, wouldn't that be a surprise for them? But at the same time, it was wonderful
It was
because
very flattering.
it was flattering. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a great way to put it. And I'm sorry I didn't write down the question that you had. What was the other one that you had?
That was one of the questions. I don't remember the other question. So that's that.
I think we did it then. So long and short is, I mean, it's been a year and 4 months since we transitioned, a year since we transitioned on hormones. And I say we because I got to tell you, you don't do this yourself if you're married. That's one of the reasons why our relationship is so strong. And we do everything together, we talk about everything together.
Yeah.
And that has made all the difference in the world for us. Yeah. Overall, generally speaking, happy with me. 2 thumbs up. And 2 thumbs up on my side too.
Absolutely.
I love our life. I love the transition. And there's just absolutely no way that I could go back. And I've had the wonderful opportunity that very, very few people in this life ever get to have was that I had some resemblance of a happy life. I I mean, for half of my life
Mm-hmm.
until middle age in a male body.
Yeah.
And during that time, I mean,
Mm.
Audrey is now my second wife. I went through cancer with my first wife,
Yeah.
and we have two beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be father to both of them, and they're almost grown up and on their own. I mean, our youngest has got 3 more years, and then he's off. And now, the second part of my life, I get to live on the other side. And you don't realize how it is when you're in the wrong skin. Um, Being in the proper body now, the best way I could describe it is just being at home. Um, I just am so comfortable with myself. There's a lot of days I don't wear makeup,
Mm-hmm.
going into town or anything else. If we go to the city, I'll dress up and put makeup on. But just hanging around our local community here, going for groceries, quick in town or gas,
Mm-hmm.
I won't put on any makeup. Um, and yeah, the soft skin, hairless body, plus, plus, plus. All of it is good.
Yeah.
And so that's it for us, I guess. So if you have any questions,
Mm-hmm.
shoot them to us in the comments below, and we'd love to answer them for you. Possibly do another video together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so we love you very much and wish you well. And if you are transitioning, or if you're a couple who one of you is transitioning, I hope this has helped your relationship out a little bit. And like I said, shoot us some questions, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and check out our Facebook, Instagram, and our store of how we actually put food on our table, riverstonenaturals.com or riverstonestudios.ca. Both will get you to the same place, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you're more comfortable with. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.